Kurt and Lauren, please join our stage. We are ready for Proof to take the reins and do our next demo.
Amazing. Well, thanks for having us. I'm going to share my screen and do some initial just introductions. It's really nice to be here. Thank you to Intersect for that awesome demo. Thank you to Liminal for having us. My name is Lauren Furey. I am a principal product manager here at Proof. I'm going to be joined today and through this demo with Kurt Ernst, who is also a principal product manager with Proof, focusing on our fraud and risk products. So we're really happy to be here. I have on my screen here just to kind of first introduce the way in which this experience is going to flow. So feel free to kind of peruse that, but then we'll be pivoting into this live experience. So at Proof, for those who aren't familiar with Proof, our mission really is to bring confidence into every interaction. And to do this, we've built a product suite that helps organizations know who they're dealing with. So whether that's to stop fraud before it happens, verify identities in real time, or defend against emerging threats like synthetic media. And our product suite is really easily adapted to meet your needs from either like all the way from e-signature to identity proofing. These are standalone tools, or you can use them to also fuel and learn via the Defend Risk Engine. Today, I'm going to focus on our product Verify. That's what you're seeing here on this screen, kind of overviewing the experience. And this is our real-time identity verification solution with a human in the loop. We believe it's particularly powerful in combating account takeovers and third-party fraud because of the way in which agents interact and can help. A human can actually interact and help in that assessment of the recipient, of the client on the other side. And this is a scenario we all know well as we're attending these demos today. So a fraudster buys those hypothetically stolen banking credentials off the dark web. They log in and successfully access a customer's account. And at first, there's no flags, there's no risk. But then we start to see them changing critical contact information and potentially start to make these really substantial transfers. So this is where your systems can step up and Verify can really step in. So let's pivot into the experience itself. I know 12 minutes goes fast. So the wonderful thing about our product suite is that we can either do rich integrations or no-code solutions. So this is what I'm showing you here is how you might set up a no-code easy solution through an EasyLink. This will allow you to say, in these Verify experiences, what tools do I provide the agent, that analyst, to either deploy at their decision, so whether or not they can just choose whether or not it's necessary to use, or our organization is going to say there are thresholds for how we consider the verification, the appropriate verification of an identity. So we're really excited that you can deploy this in multiple ways, also determining different payments and contact. So now I'm going to pivot and stay with me because as we just talked about, the demo gods are hopefully with us. What I'm now showing you is actually Kurt's screen. So Kurt is receiving this EasyLink, and actually he's going to play this genuine customer logging in, right? So if a fraudster attempted to take over Kurt's account, now he's going to start logging in and accessing a Verify meeting so that he can really prove himself. We need to be able to be sure we know who Kurt is. So this isn't just a question of who is this person, it's really, is this person who I expect them to be? So we want to do this before any kind of password reset, before any kind of corrections on the account. As you can see, as Kurt moves through this, he's going to be providing some really preliminary information about himself regarding his identity. This is going to be information that's helpful and passed through to the agent. And the nice thing too is we recognize the array of different users who would have to touch this product. So we've really focused on making this a seamless, mobile-friendly, user-friendly data entry process. So yes, again, we'll be using this information to triangulate Kurt's identity once he's in the meeting. Now, we could have scheduled this call, or we can run this as needed. So once he hits continue and gets into this call, I will act as that agent, helping to pick up the call and assess Kurt's identity. Here, I will go and say, okay, I'm ready to join. We're going to mute ourselves really quickly once we're both in this call to avoid any crazy audio. And again, right now what you're seeing is my screen as the agent. And there I see Kurt. He is my client. He's my recipient, my genuine actor here. As you can see, already I've got some tools available for me, and I can see Kurt. I'm talking to him in real time. Everything is recorded. We're going to be pivoting, just hang with me, because I'm going to be pivoting back and forth between my screen as the agent's view and Kurt's. So I'm going to deploy credential analysis. This will be our step one in our tools for today. I want Kurt to show me his identity credentials such that I can really say, is this who I expect it to be? In Kurt's experience, his side of the view of this meeting is much more restricted. There's really not a ton of tools until I tell him to act. So I've deployed the credential analysis and he's going to start engaging with this. Kurt can really decide whether or not to run this on through his machine. So if assuming his laptop obviously has a camera, he can use that. He can also switch to his mobile device. When switching to the mobile device, there is some added benefit there so that they can see about IP address and differences in the geography of the IP address versus the laptop. So that's really helpful. But we're going to just run this as necessary today on his machine. And we're going to make sure that these pass. So you can see he's not really using a real ID. That's okay. We're just going to make sure that we get through this together in our demo environment. Now, identity proofing really is the backbone of these kinds of step up, because when the risk is flagged, you can't just rely on these credentials or devices. We're confirming the person. And so this is where Verify really shines. I'm going to pull back into my experience. And here as the agent, what I've seen now is I get this notice that Kurt is in the process of scanning his ID. And then I also get to see the results of that. So here's the front, here's the back. I get some more information and kind of can assess. I can always prompt him for a retake. And you'll see that our identity timeline is starting to grow. How old is this account? Is Kurt new to us? What might else we know about Kurt? And how are we assessing whether or not these credentials look good? So for fraudsters, I think this combination of ID verification and then what we are going to do next, which is biometric matching. So I'm going to prompt Kurt to take a selfie. This really creates that strong barrier, which makes impersonation quite difficult. So we're not just about blocking fraud. It's also about protecting our customers and really building trust. These are moments too where stakes can be quite high. Account takeover can mean a lot of exposure and risk to your genuine customers. So what Verify aims to do is really give that confidence to know that these genuine customers are now dealing with a real person, that the agent is meeting with a real person, not an imposter, and that humans can really kind of solve these problems with the benefit and with the utilization of these advanced toolings. Switching back over into my experience, I now get to see Kurt's selfie. I know that there's a liveness check, and I also can know that we are comparing this to the human on the camera to the identity credentials. So strong proofing doesn't have to feel heavy, as you'll probably notice through our demos. We want to make sure our customers feel really safe without feeling like they're on trial. But that's really what Verify is going to emphasize here, is both the speed and the simplicity while keeping fraudsters out. Now I'm going to use my last tool. I think I have time, but please, Liminal, interrupt me if I'm going too long. I'm going to deploy a credit card validation. What this is not doing is charging Kurt for this meeting. Rather, what it's going to do, and you can kind of see here, and it'll explain it to Kurt as well. We'll pivot over to his screen. Is we're running a credit card check as another triangulation signal. So this is not standalone proof. Rather, we tokenize the card via Stripe, validate that it's real and active, and really compare the billing data and issuer to the identity the customer has provided. So if the card, the document photo, the live selfie all line up, the confidence for the agent can really go way up. Now, this is territory that's also quite familiar for proof. As many may know, we've really built our business starting from notarizations, which were the initial kind of catalyst for figuring out authenticity and mitigating fraud. And we actually have a lot of information from our notaries as to the intuition that humans can apply into these meetings as to an assessment of that identity and assessment of the genuineness of the recipient, of the client on the call, is enormous. We don't want to understate that. So depending on how y'all would want to apply this type of a product, either you can staff them with your team members, they can utilize additional triangulation information from your systems. We also have team members that can act in these agent capacities and be trained up to look for certain things, to ask certain questions. So there's also that dynamism that comes from these kinds of meetings. So I get this result, wonderful result. Kurt is clear. We see a low risk score. I feel really confident As the agent, I get to either decide to verify his identity, which I'm going to say he has passed. I can also fail Kurt. So the nice thing is that the agents are given some latitude here. Even if he has done well on this, if that intuition is on overdrive, we do give them that opportunity to fail Kurt. Sorry, Kurt. In this case, you're passing, you did great, which allows us to complete the meeting. We get to retain that signal, and we get to retain that information in that recording regarding Kurt, and we can always point back and reference it. So to kind of bring this home, I want to go back into that initial tee-up, that initial scenario. The customer's account was at risk, and we put them through a verify meeting. We were able to step up their session, confirm that Kurt was the person behind the login, or that now he is in charge and in control of that account, and we get Kurt back in control quickly of his account. The deterrence of getting a fraudster in front of a human with these tools in hand is enormous. So that's a really nice barrier to introduce into your business at those critical junctures. And that's really the balance that we're after, is stopping fraudsters while making the experience really simple and reassuring for genuine customers. So stronger security, better experience. And again, this is just one part of the broader proof portfolio. The identity established here with Verify doesn't disappear, which is another kind of longer tail, really wonderful thing about the company. It actually can become reusable across events and even across organizations long term. So that's one recovery moment into lasting trust that allows Kurt to kind of have greater latitude while we trust him and his interactions. So we're trying to, as I mentioned at the top, we're trying to bring confidence into every interaction, and we're really grateful to be here and to be able to share with y'all one of the ways in which we're doing that. So thank you.